Hey, it's Keith Edwards. I'm at the Capitol, and I just talked to Rep. Dan Goldman, a representative from New York who's in Congress, about Trump, the authoritarianism streak in this country, how you can fix it, and what Congress is doing about it. I hope you watch it. Here it is. Congressman, thank you so much for meeting with me, being with the channel. It's so important that we have spaces where we can actually talk and deliver the truth without any of the legacy media getting in the way. So thank you for being here and on the channel.
Thank you for having me.
I just want to get right into the thing that we're here for tonight is the State of the Union. But how do you feel is the State of the Union?
I am more scared about the State of the Union right now than I have ever been in my lifetime,
Why?
to be quite honest. First of all, the level of corruption going on right now is unprecedented. Between Donald Trump and his meme coins and charging donors $1 million or $5 million to sit down with him, to Elon Musk having the controls of the federal purse while he is receiving $13 billion of government contracts, to Donald Trump's outright elimination of all forms of accountability in the federal government so that he can put his loyalists in there to do his political dirty work. And that is overarching, I think, what's really scary about our country. It is also having a direct effect on people because effectively what's going on is inflation's going up, costs are going up, prescription drug prices are going up. He's doing nothing to actually address the cost of living, which is what he ran on. And on the flip side, they're just cutting programs willy-nilly, completely arbitrarily, so that they can not pay down the deficit, but give tax cuts to billionaires. And the people who are going to suffer are the vast majority of American and working Americans.
Yeah, I do think, I don't know what scale of authoritarianism where we are on the scale. It feels like we're closer than we ever have been before. But I guess the thing that worries me is that I don't know how we change it, because I think there have been a lot of people he could do this, this, and this, and this to try to take over the government, right? I don't think anyone thought they would be so creative as to say, we're actually just gonna go control how things are spent. And I don't know, what is the solution? Is the courts the only solution? And if he doesn't listen to the courts,
right,
then what?
Well, that is where we hit a constitutional crisis, is really if the executive branch defies court orders. The Republicans who control Congress have completely just rolled over,
yes,
laid down, given the power of the purse to Donald Trump, given basically all the power to Donald Trump.
But isn't that already the constitutional crisis if the executive is deciding that appropriated funds are not to be spent?
Yeah, it is a constitutional violation, and you can debate constitutional crisis or whatever it is. I guess my point is I don't have, at least there are the courts right now, okay, as some form of accountability. But if they just defy the courts, our system of separation of powers and checks and balances doesn't really have an answer for that. So that's really what I was talking about. But you are right in terms of this authoritarian playbook. And there are a couple things we can do. One is we need to explain it very clearly to people so that they see and understand what's happening and how it will affect their daily lives. And so it's not just that he pardoned 1,500 violent criminals from January 6th and has now created a violent extremist militia that will support him. It's not just that he fired basically every inspector general in the federal government whose job, A, is to find waste, fraud, and abuse, and B, is to hold the executive branch accountable. It's not just that he is so clearly going after his enemies. It's all of it combined when he's putting in these incredibly unqualified, dangerous loyalists like Kash Patel, Tulsi Gabbard, Pete Hegseth. That is laying the foundation for him then to move into full authoritarian mode. And what he's doing a lot right now is testing the waters. He's testing Congress with the DOGE spending stuff. What's the reaction going to be when he usurps executive power? Right now, the reaction has been nothing. So that's the other thing we can do, is we have to put pressure on Republicans. We have to say, Donald Trump is not going to have another election, we think. Certainly not under the current Constitution, but all of these Republicans will. And it has to get to the point where their continued support and weakness and deference to Donald Trump must become a political liability, and they must start to feel like their seats are in jeopardy if they keep supporting him.
I love that you brought that up, because I'm sure you've seen the viral clips of the Republicans in Congress who do their town halls in their like plus 20, plus 30 yard districts, getting railed by their own voters. I don't believe they're all Democrats at these
no, they're
town
definitely
halls.
not. Definitely not.
And I mean, there's one in Georgia where you could hear the thick Georgia accent of like, we don't want Elon. I'm not going to do an accent, but we don't want Elon Musk in our spending, you know. And
or our personal identification information.
And so I do think that there are political consequences for this, but I think I just don't know what Democrats can do when we're not in power. It just feels like the people really have to get louder, right?
Well, that's part of it. And I think what we need to do is make sure that we are clearly communicating to the American people what is actually happening. Donald Trump is brilliant at gaslighting. And he will do that tonight in the State of the Union. He will get up there, he will talk about how he'll say costs are going down and the middle class is thriving and this is the new generation of the American dream and all this stuff. And there's nothing to back it up. That's actually not happening. And so part of what our job is to cut through the BS and to basically say, yeah, he's saying all this, but this is really what is happening. But then people are going to start to feel it, right? When the Social Security Administration is cut in half and people miss their monthly disability or Social Security benefit check, they're going to feel it. When SNAP, food benefits, are not delivered and people can't put food on the table, they're going to feel it. And so people are going to start to feel it, and there's a very slim majority in the House. So there are a lot of vulnerable Republicans, and they are right now going along with Donald Trump because they fear a primary with a Trump-supported candidate and a Musk-supported candidate more than they fear their voters. Yeah. And so we've got to flip that script, because if they recognize their own job is on the line if they support Trump, then that's really the only time that they might, if they grow a spine.
I guess, you know, my fear about all this too is because people are going to feel pain. But what authoritarians do is they will blame it on someone else. You know, in Russia, it was Ukraine. You know, the Ukrainians who are causing all this. But Putin's actually quite popular in Russia. You know, and so it is important.
Right. According to the Russian polls.
Sure, but I do think there are a lot of people who have bought into the propaganda there that don't know any better, right? That's my fear here, is that there is a propaganda machine. It's not the entire media ecosystem for Trump that could push a narrative. I know that we're now in the future. We don't know what's going to happen, but it is so important that folks like you really do speak about what's happening, because they are going to try to say it's not because of him. The stocks aren't down because of him. They're already doing it now. They're saying it's Biden's economy that's causing this. You know. Yeah. So yeah, people are going to feel it, but they have to know who's causing it.
100% accurate. And so the stock market tanked over the last couple of days because of Donald Trump's tariffs. Yeah. It did not tank because of anything Joe Biden did. The stock market was the highest it had ever been under Joe Biden. So it's going to be harder and harder to start pushing responsibility elsewhere. But you're absolutely right. He will try it, and he has an entire right-wing media ecosphere and ecosystem that perpetuates his lies. And that's the danger, is you see in Russia, that's the same thing. They have state media. They perpetuate Putin's propaganda. Trump is now clearly, longfully wishing he could be Vladimir Putin, and he's doing the same thing. And so it's folks like you and others who, and us who need to be out there talking about what's really going on, and ultimately giving facts, giving evidence, giving examples that resonate with people.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me. And again, the audience said just know they're going to love this.
Great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Take care.